Today on Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Creating an invitation to freedom. And, I think about the book as the freedom to reconnect with our values, the freedom to define what success means to us now, and the freedom to choose the work model that works for all of us.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the new theme song for Lou Diamond, here's Neil Diamond. Hello again. Hello. It's good to see Lou go. It's good to love him like we do.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, this is the trifecta. You gotta love it when we get somebody who's just been so busy that we had to bring her back for a third time because she's that amazing and she's that awesome. She is a keynote speaker sought out across the world. She has helped share her leadership messages with thousands of organizations. This is her fourth book. We're kind of featuring it line up here today. She's written Listen Up, Success with Less, Working from Home, and what we're going to talk about today is the incredible Success from Anywhere. She is an amazing leader of Vice President of Customer and Market Insights at Salesforce. She knows how to play with a ring light. She knows how to feature herself. She knows how to smile. She knows how to have energy. And most importantly, she knows how to have a great conversation. Thrive Loud listeners, I bring you again, because popular demand requested it, Karen Mangia to Thrive Loud.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be here. And I feel like we're all discovering these great little hacks, right, about how to make working from home work for us. And you heard it here first. I'm going to do a big reveal. One of my home office hacks is I literally put a piece of duct tape in the floor so I know exactly where to stand. So I feel like I'm at some kind of like a childhood tap dancing recital. You're just going to come to the stage and stand exactly where you're supposed to be, and then lights, camera, action.
Look, if you want to feel on par, all the main dudes from Stephen Colbert to Jimmy Fallon, they have their mark. They know exactly where to stand. There's a line on the floor of the tape. You just brought it into the home studio. I love the fact that I learned right beforehand. Listeners need to know this. This is her third book within the window of the pandemic. That is amazing. Incredible. You got busy.
Well, I started thinking about contribution, right? And what does that look like now? And like so many people probably watching and listening, I'm used to being with people in person and thinking about how that connection and that impact happens being in person. And, my thought process was Salesforce does 3 product releases a year. I guess I can do 3 books. These are my 3 product releases or 3 feature releases in a year.
You know what? I like the on-brand component of that. You had to marry the two together. Okay, so what I'd love to do here is bring our listeners a little up to speed, because this is a good question. And that really is, I've remembered when the last book came out, it was really on point for the reason why you're writing it. I want to understand how this one became the focus. And then I kind of want to back into, when did it become the focus? Because you can have a lot of things juggling, but the way you're able to crank this stuff out and the great quality work you deliver is awesome. So let's do that. I understand why success from anywhere now.
I was trying to answer a question people kept asking me, and it was, now what? And I mean, they weren't asking me, now what, after your book, or, now what's next for me. I mean, it was a question about as colleagues, as citizens, as companies, whatever that looks like, now what? Now what do we do? I mean, we're not necessarily working from home. We're not necessarily all back in the office. things have shifted in a way that we're in a different place. And people are looking for help and hope, and I think inspiration and some new ideas. And I was trying to respond to that, really to offer a blueprint about how we could design a future that works for employees as well as for employers, and also a blueprint that helps people personally and professionally.
Karen, this is one of the strangest times we've all experienced. The pandemic in itself has been a weird bit, but you made a great point. There's some of us are home. Some of us are in the office, returning to the workplace, a couple of days in the office, a couple of days here. It's getting a little choppy. It's like choppy at sea. And how to actually achieve success is a different roadmap always. But now we're dealing with lots of different variables. How does Karen Mangia navigate this ship at sea in the world that we're in right now?
Well, and it feels like almost an impossible task. I mean, what I keep sharing with organizations as they think about these future of work plans is, one plan does not fit all, right? The future of work, that singular plan fits no one well when you're super prescriptive about it. And the challenge is it feels impossible. And I hear this from so many people. I mean, how do I plan for something that keeps shifting? I mean, some people are on the replan to the replan to the replan at this point, right? And so thinking about how to create some flexibility, how to, design in what we're wanting and needing, I started thinking about how could we take this concept of the future of work and break it down to feel something less impossible. I mean, the way that I think about it is achieving the impossible starts with doing the doable.
Okay.
And you were just talking about, the books and all those sorts of things. But when I think about the think big, act small concept that I find works best for me and that I've shared with a number of folks as well, is something I call the 5-minute fix. And here's how this works. I mean, if you're the person still sitting at home in the antique dining room chair because you thought your work from home scenario was temporary and now you have the backache, right? I mean, maybe your grand aspiration is that you want to be well, you want to be out of pain, you want to be pain-free. And yet you're so overwhelmed with so many things going on. However, will you find the time to address this, right? Because our mind starts playing tricks on us. We start thinking we need these grand gestures. I mean, in your head at that point, now you need a chiropractor, you need some Pilates, right? A workout routine, maybe eventually a new chair, and it's overwhelming. And so when I think about do the doable and the power of the 5-minute fix applied to what we were just talking about, that would say for 5 minutes one day, look up some chairs. For 5 minutes the next day, select one. When it arrives, take as many 5-minute increments as you need to assemble it and then put it in your office. And this works with everything from routines, rituals, and boundaries to how to create better customer and employee connections.
Karen, did you change the way that you worked during this unique window of time? And I'm asking that with a little bit of a variable piece because I think a lot of people may have been able to take the best of what they were doing during the pandemic and as they've come back, try to figure out how to keep that. But some people actually lost something from the way they used to work just because of the shuffle and had to figure something else out. What was the situation for Karen?
Well, coming into the beginning of this year, coming out of having done a couple of books, and I mean, we're all trying to survive a pandemic. And I started thinking not so much about what would this year bring, but what would I bring to this year? And in that vein that we were talking about with the doable, I just sort of organically arrived at 3 very simple questions. And they were, what's working? What's not working? And what's the smallest thing I could give myself permission to adjust? And when I started thinking about the answers to those questions deeply, I realized that what wasn't working in my context was, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, I didn't feel like I had enough time to focus on, or wasn't prioritizing maybe, spending my best time and best energy on creating the deliverables and connections and relationships that lead to the most value. And so what I did was I changed my routine. Now, note, I did not add anything to my routine. I took what I did first in the day and started doing it last, and the last became first. And here's what I mean by that. I moved myself to a program that was kind of like back to school. I mean, I started picking out my clothes the night before, deciding what I was going to have for lunch. I mean, I made my mornings decision free. And instead of starting my day with email, right, which in my head was a great way to get organized for the day and get set, instead, I decided email would now be the last thing I did in the day. And the first thing every day after I had made no decisions in the morning, including which coffee cup to use, what to wear, and what my first task would be, is that I would focus on that big deliverable, that big project, what it is I needed to create. Now, that might be a relationship, that might be a blog, that might be the chapter of a book. And I would turn off all distractions. I mean, it was set up so the first thing that came up on my laptop was that document or that one kind of Cal Newport would call it deep work task.
Right.
Set a timer for 90 minutes, worked with no distractions, and then I could make a decision. Do I go on to another 90 minutes like that? Do I need to pause for something else? And when I made just a shift to create first, kind of execute last, I found that I was able to have more energy at the end of the day. I mean, suddenly reading that like newsletter roundup didn't seem that important, right? And I was kind of like making room and using my best energy toward what delivers the most outcomes. And I realized I was making my own days very noisy and very chaotic by starting with this barrage of decisions and distractions.
As you were putting this book together, did it change the way that you were doing your daily routine in your work? Like as you were thinking of putting the writing of the work of this book together, like the actual doing, did that mix and match with the flow of what you wanted to do each day?
Yes. And some days I would allocate as research days. So, I might be looking up information, facts, statistics, something that might spark an idea. Another day I might be interviewing experts. And I kind of like to do it a little bit in that order so that I would have some inspiration about, well, what does this mean? What would my take be on what experts are saying and what people are talking about? And so I think about it as kind of research and then connection and then creation.
Oh, I like that. In this, so sometimes you've got your own experiences. Did you take lessons and learnings from others to figure out, they also fit into this formula and I could actually incorporate this aspect into the story? Because obviously you had working from home as one of the other stories that you had and how to deal with that. So success from anywhere is now I could be successful anywhere with this. How did you pull in other sources of info and research to add into the mix of what you wrote here?
Well, first of all, I want to give my boss credit. He is like a one-person news clipping service. I don't need an app to send me headlines. I mean, he would say, have you seen this? Have you heard this study? Do you know what's changing? Are you aware of what people are talking about? And, I interviewed people who have businesses that help people flourish and thrive, people focused on well-being. I mean, all ranges. And I will share with you one of the stories that really shaped how I thought about what might be possible and share it in practical ways to help people see possibilities is the story of General Mills.
Okay.
Now, you might recognize General Mills as the cereal company and the company that we were all patronizing when we were simultaneously going to be competing on the Great British Baking Show together last year, right? I mean, these are people making the flour that we were all, going to hurt each other in the grocery store to procure. And so the wonderful people at General Mills were listening to their employees, and their employees were, in not surprising news, reporting a high degree of burnout. And the well-intentioned leaders thought to themselves, we should do something to help address this. They roll out this program. They offer everyone some additional PTO, and fewer than 8% of employees opt in. And the level of burnout continues to rise. They are mesmerized. So they step away, do a little research, do some more listening, and engage some expertise. And when they come back in January 2021, the same leaders rolled out to the same 10,000 employees what was called the Gift of Choice program. And within that, the employees were going to be given 3 choices. First, extra PTO. Second, extra pay. Third, the donation to a not-for-profit or charity of your choice. Now, within 24 hours, remembering before 8% of employees opted in, what percent do you think opted into this program within 24 hours?
I would say this flipped. I would say close to over 75%.
So 85%. Yeah,
Wow.
You're right on track. And what would you predict or guess was the number one selection from this gift of choice program out of PTO, pay, or donation?
Okay, so myself, the pay was where my brain went to first. Hey, I'll take more money, but I'm going to say that you're going to surprise me and say they wanted more PTO.
That was the top choice, PTO.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think about this, how many organizations are trying to mandate something to their employees? And what General Mills did with that gift of choice program is they worked with what psychologists call your internal locus of control. I mean, they gave people the feeling that they had some kind of control over their own destiny. And when they did, they got to the outcome they wanted in the first place. And I think about this, what would change in organizations if employers could offer some choices that employees viewed as favorable? What might we be able to resolve in this great resignation or the employer-employee gap by offering choices?
I was just about to bleed here. Thank you for the segue into this. We are in a time where people are leaving so much sooner than employers would ever imagine. Everyone feels and there's this optionality that they're not just leaving for another job. Some of them are leaving to just do nothing, which is even more fascinating. So making the workplace a place of FOMO is actually something I've been joking about. Like, what can you do as an employer to make the place that you work the place no one wants to miss out on? And this is where I'll spin this. Your entire message here is that you could have success from anywhere. And there's a lot of people believing that in a way of saying, I need to leave and get out of the job. Help me spin that message into how employers or even employees can find that success anywhere in the job they're in.
Yeah. What's so interesting to me is how often we equate success with more, right? Whether that's more products, more pay, more perks, more profits, whatever that looks like. We believe we kind of have to do more to have more, to be more, and that will sum up to success, right? And then along comes the great resignation, exactly what you're talking about. And within that, I think employees are sending employers an urgent signal that the more of what's being offered, even if that's more pay, more perks, and more PTO, isn't summing up to success for them. And that got me thinking. I'm like, maybe we need to start asking a different question. Instead of more, maybe it's more of what? And I was reminded of a potential answer to that question. I was walking by this picture the other day. This is so funny. I was always a snazzy dresser. This is me here in the horizontal stripes and the red pants.
For our listeners, this is quite the. I'll say, I know it's an '80s outfit, but it could be '70s if we wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bucket hat makes it sort of borderline between decades.
Right.
And the answer, good news, not more horizontal stripes. I'm not proposing we bring that back. But when I look into this picture, I see so clearly what we're all looking for right now, the solution to the future of work. What matters? Yeah. I mean, this is how you get people to come into the office. It's offering more of what matters. And what I would ask most organizations is, do you know what matters to your employees right now? I mean, how's that going? How are you getting that signal? So
having this message that you have in the book, I love this because I love people who are putting together the angle that can be looked at from two different sides here. The individual who could look at their success from anywhere for their own career, but kind of like backfitting this as employers are looking at this is how I can have my organization be a place that anywhere is the place that they need to be. Do you see that as that is an end target for who needs to read this as well, not just the people who can figure out where they can have successful anywhere too?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I think about kind of taking this future of work that works concept, I think about breaking it down into what I call in Success from Anywhere, the 4 W's framework. And I think it's really grounding. The first one is work. I mean, what is the work that needs to be done now and how has that changed? I mean, it's changed for almost everybody, right? Individually and collectively. Next is the workforce. I mean, who needs to be doing this work? What skills do they need? And I think the one a lot of organizations are taking very seriously for the first time, to the point of our conversation, what are the highest aspirations of that workforce?
Totally.
And then, yeah, right. And then it's workplace. I mean, where does this work need to happen? And how much of that work is going to be synchronous versus asynchronous? And within that, employees are really saying it's not that most people are opposed to getting together. What they're asking for is for leaders and team leaders and organizations to commit to gather with a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, when we come together, what's the purpose of this? And how is our time structured to realize that purpose?
Such an amazing point. I just want to jump in here because one of the things, we had Stacey Hunke, who's a great communication expert, on the show recently, and we were talking about that everyone thinks, oh, there's Zoom fatigue and there's all these really bad these we're tired of staring at these 2D screens. And it's not Zoom fatigue. It's not that fatigue. It's really bad meetings. We haven't set the purpose of why we're getting together. We haven't set the purpose of what our direction of the company is, or the purpose of why are we doing what we're doing? And you're so right that if we have clear purpose and clear direction in what we need to be laying out, we're going to have people that fit that purpose and solve that problem. Now understand, okay, now I know why I'm going to this meeting and what I'm going to do.
Exactly. Well, and can I share with you and with all of your listeners a technique I call the meeting minimizer? I mean, this might be the most memorable and useful part of our discussion. All right. I tried this out myself. I was looking at my calendar and I thought, why am I going to all of these meetings? So on a Friday, I looked through my calendar for the next week and I selected 3 meetings. If you want to start small and do the doable, select one. And ask yourself, does this have to be a meeting? And then try this. Spend 5 minutes recording a 2 to 3 max 5-minute video of yourself to the person. I like to open with, I hope you're not disappointed. This isn't a TikTok video. I can't dance. This is something I like to call the meeting minimizer. And then I just say in the video what it is we're trying to align on, or just, hey, if this is here to touch base, let me just share 3 things that are going on I'm really excited about. If you're good, I'm good. We can cancel the meeting. People love this. Okay, so I start getting these messages back like, you're changing the way we work. I mean, let's be honest. Having a meeting come off your calendar as an adult is like finding $20 in your pocket when you were 14 that you forgot about, right? I mean, this is gold. So then I knew I was onto something with this concept. It's another 5-minute fix, right? When I would have leaders, senior leaders, people in some instances, write back to me and say, I'm totally aligned. I love this. Thank you. Thank you for changing the way we work. And would you please leave the meeting on the calendar and we would just agree to not show up so that I could have that time to get work done? And I thought to myself, it's true, right? Does anybody wake up in the morning at this point, look at your calendar and go, woo, I get to go to a meeting today. And I can't wait to find out what this Zoom thing is. What are we doing? I mean, so I just think about these small practical things of commit to gathering with a purpose. And what a great way to ease people into the thought that we might not always have to be live in a synchronous meeting to listen to the person, blah, blah, the status update. What else could this be?
That's so awesome. I love that tip. I've been, the one question I wanted to hit before we get to some fun things I wanted to do with you, not that we haven't been having fun from the very beginning, Karen. These incredible ideas, are they being reflected at your own organization? Is Salesforce trying to incorporate a lot of this into the company?
Well, I can tell you that we are practicing what we are preaching because I'm on our work from home task force. And also for the first time, I'm excited to share, we took the idea of having site leaders. So kind of a leader who represents each physical site that we have. And we extended that into this world of distributed work. So I'm actually kind of the site leader for all of our distributed employees. And we've been having fun. We've been experimenting. I mean, we've sent surveys, we've done a few focus groups, and we've gone on to create ambassadors. I mean, we have 35 to 40 now, I believe, at least in the Americas, ambassadors who help connect with people and really create community. And they share ideas about how to feel and to be connected and to belong, even when we're not physically together. And so we're doing a lot of experimentation. Can I tell you, we always get everything right and that everything resonates with everyone? No. What I will say is a willingness to experiment and do what we were talking about earlier. What choices could we create? It is very powerful. And the great thing is everybody can contribute some choices and some ideas or a 5-minute fix to try. I mean, this isn't reserved for like 5-phase, 500 employees, $5 million programs. I mean, this could be 5 minutes, 5 people, 5 ideas, and off you go.
I love it. So here's what we're going to do. Let's give the plug section right now so you can share people where they can find the latest and greatest. Well, those who can go back to the other episodes, but for the new people who haven't heard you, they have no idea where to go find this. So give all the plugs and stuff. We'll put it in the show notes. And then we're going to have a different version of Fun Street for Karen Mangia.
I invite you to join createsuccessanywhere.com. Check it out. You'll find the book. And what's exciting is a bonus playbook and also a series of videos. So I've been looking in the direction of how to share with people the tools to access their own success. And the idea behind the playbook is 10 games you can play as teams or organizations to help think about work as play, if you're willing to consider that concept.
Love it. All righty. We've done the movies. We've done the music. We've done the things she likes to eat. We've done all the places she likes to go. Karen is a pro down Fun Street. She's a seasoned vet. So we're going to have a different side of the street you're going to walk on today. You're going to check out some of the other stores across the way. Okay, you ready for this?
I am ready for some window shopping. Let's do this.
Okay, so the first window shopping, as we're recording this just at the beginning of the holiday season, and this episode is coming out right around the holiday season here, which is awesome. So aside from obviously your laundry list of books, I want to know, name 3 books that have connected with you most recently within this window of time that are great recommendations for some of our listeners that are outside of the realm of Karen Mangia.
Yes, the first one is Deep Work by Cal Newport. And that helped me, structure and frame my days differently. And wow, that has changed everything about how I work in my routine. So I love Deep Work by Cal Newport. Second, I just closed the cover on Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And there is so much wisdom in there about how to tap into a different mindset and how to let go a little bit, right? How to sort of go with the flow and look for sort of what do you get excited about, right? And give yourself permission to do more of that work. And then the third one is Life Scale by Brian Solis. And Life Scale is all about how do you make room for creativity, which we can all be creative. It might surprise people to discover that, but how do we channel new creativity, ideas, and innovation?
One of my favorite conversations, other than all the ones I've had with Karen Mangia, obviously, Cal Newport was a guest on Thrive Loud, and we went into Deep Work, and that was eye-opening to me. From a professor of computer science that was going into this. I mean, that was so out there in the way that he looked at how to do that. So Cal was a big fan of the show, and I'm a big fan of his. So that was a cool thing.
Please thank him.
Yeah.
Please thank him for me. And what stuck with me, and maybe this is the link to him being a professor, was when he asked, when you look at your day and what you spend most of your time doing, how many of those tasks could a university student become proficient at in 6 months or less? The answer alarmed me. Yeah. And that sparked a desire to make meaningful change. So much goodness there. All 3, but very different.
So now we're going to flip the script. We're going to go from the reading side to the viewing side. Obviously, believe it or not, with all the things that she does, I have a feeling that Karen actually does have some downtime. Is there certain streaming shows, not movies, I'm looking at streaming shows, stuff that is, circulated since the pandemic that you love to watch or that you got hooked on or that you binged?
Well, I mean, who doesn't love Ted Lasso, right? What's not to love about that? I also truly am a fan of the Great British Baking Show. So I'm working my way through the current season and making every attempt not to binge watch it. Although, that can be challenging at times. And then also, I just started watching this documentary that's about the future of work. Although I know how it turns out, I'm not very far into it, but that is literally brand new in the past few weeks.
Okay, I'm going to check that out. I like that stuff. As long as it's not robots replacing what you and I do, I'm okay with that. All right, so now we're going to have a little bit more fun stuff. I want to hear from you places that you're looking to go to or that are on your calendar for you to go visit for fun, something that's like a good trip that you're about to take, and what you're looking forward to at that location.
This one will be hard to top. Now, I'm going to Daly City, which is just outside of San Francisco. And I will tell you, I've been there before. And in and of itself, that doesn't excite me. What's waiting for me does, because a big pandemic change is that I officially became an auntie for the first time 4 months ago. And
Nice.
I'm going to meet Mason, my new nephew. And well, I can't wait.
Well-
So I'm very much looking forward to our first meeting. I know he is excited about it as I am. He is having many sleepless nights thinking about our visit, according to his parents anyway. So that one, and another one that is coming up on my list that is a first-time visit is going to Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
That'll be new and different.
We're going to have to hook you up with John Lee Dumas so you can hang out with him while you're there. Maybe we'll even get him on your show.
Bring it
On his show. Karen, final words here. Obviously, as it relates to this book, each time you complete something, it's good. And each time you market it, you're in that zone of this. What are you most proud about? What are you most proud of about? See, I couldn't get that words right that time, of success from anywhere.
What I am most proud about is creating an invitation to freedom. And, I think about the book as the freedom to reconnect with our values, the freedom to define what success means to us now, and the freedom to choose the work model that works for all of us. And one of the gifts of the pandemic in my mind is that we all simultaneously arrived at kind of this day of reckoning. And when we looked around, back to what we were talking about earlier, we all started asking ourselves that question, what matters? And I think we came up with some different answers than maybe how we had been living our lives. And I think about the book as an invitation to step into freedom, the freedom to choose differently. And I think we may have talked about my grandmother's diary before, but I love, the reminder from her that you can always begin again. And that's what I think this is. We have a new chance. We have some new choices. And I hope that this is a blueprint for how to do that.
Karen Mangia, success from anywhere, anytime, any place. You reach out to me. We'd love to have you here on Thrive Lab. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
And to all the listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.